Let's talk about prepositional phrases. So a prepositional phrase is a part of a sentence that's not part of the core, so it's not essential, but it adds some extra information. And if you look at this sentence, we have three prepositional phrases. We have on toast, with 2 slices, and of bacon. So the core part of the sentence then is I like my eggs, and you can see that has a subject, I, it has a verb, like. Notice that like can also be a preposition at times, and it has a direct object in my eggs. So we have a complete sentence there, and then the rest of the sentence is extra information. Now, one of the key things to realize about prepositional phrases is that they always act either as an adverb or as an adjective. So an adjective or an adverb. And in this example, we have 2 prepositional phrases that act like an adverb, the first 2, and the last one acts like an adjective. So if you were to ask the question like how or where, a couple of questions here, like how, like where, then you can say, well, I like them where? On toast, and how? With 2 slices. Which sounds a bit like a Dr. Seuss kind of story. But these questions are about the verb. And if we're asking questions about the verb, then we're typically answering them with an adverb. Okay, so an adverb modifies a verb, and as a result, these prepositional phrases are acting adverbially. I know that's quite a mouthful. So adverbially. All right. The last phrase here, which is of bacon, acts like an adjective. So we can call it adjectival if we want to be technical. And in this case, what we're modifying is the noun slices. So if we say, what kind of slices? What kind? Then we could say, well, of bacon. So whenever we modify a noun, we use an adjective, and as a result, the prepositional phrase is acting like an adjective. So that's the first major thing to recognize here. Prepositional phrases always consist of a preposition and an object of the preposition, and as a whole, they work either as an adjective or an adverb in the sentence. The second thing to recognize is that it's really easy to confuse prepositions for conjunctions. So in these 2 examples, we see, first of all, preposition being used here. So after the rain, after is a preposition. There we go. And together with the rain, which is the object of the preposition, all of this together forms a prepositional phrase. So there's our prepositional phrase, and that adds some extra information to the main clause. In the second example, after is a conjunction, and we know that because the rain no longer forms the object of the preposition. Instead, it's a subject because it has a verb after it. So together with stopped, the rain stopped, this becomes a clause. All right, so clause is a subject and a verb along with any other modifiers. Now, what kind of clause is it? Well, the word after, a conjunction, makes it a dependent clause. So dependent means that it cannot stand by itself as a complete sentence, but it has to be tied to something else, which is, in this case, we went for a walk, which is our independent clause. So be very careful when you're thinking about conjunctions and prepositions, not to confuse them for each other. The very same word, in this case after, can be a preposition or a conjunction. Of course, it doesn't apply to every preposition, but there are a few that you want to watch out for. So these are words like before and after, and even because at times. So be careful, look at the context, and the context will tell you which one you're dealing with. The last thing to realize about prepositions is that they're not supposed to come at the end of a sentence. So that's a big no-no according to some grammar books. Actually, I think people are becoming more relaxed about this final preposition. I'm okay with it. So you really have to decide for yourself, are you fine with having a sentence end on a preposition, or do you want to move this somewhere else in the sentence? So you could stick it at the beginning, for instance. By what time do you need to be at the station? At. Well, at is a preposition too, so it doesn't work. But you can see there the issue that if you can rephrase it, maybe it helps, but often it actually sounds more natural to end on a preposition. So I think this is one of these tricky cases where in a formal context I would probably try to avoid ending on prepositions as much as I can, but it may be inevitable at times, and I think often it's not really a big deal. So sometimes we have these rules in grammar that exist for apparently no purpose or reason, but you can sort of take them or leave them, and this is definitely one of those.